Back out to Deer Park, Texas here, where we continue to see this plant fire. We want to toss it over to our team, Fox 26 in Houston. They're covering this right now. Let's go to it right here on Live Now from Fox.
Many people are wondering about the schools. So Deer Park ISD, I know, Caroline, we've been monitoring that as well, and they put something out on social media.
Yeah, the statement just a couple minutes ago says that the district has received reports of a fire at the Pemex facility north of State Highway 25. Emergency officials have not called for a shelter in place because the wind is blowing away from the city of Deer Park and our schools. At this point, the incident is not affecting school dismissal, which is taking place according to the regular schedule. We'll continue to monitor the situation. So right now, this is not impacting Deer Park ISD. Regular dismissal as planned. Obviously, a huge deal, though, because with all that smoke, luckily it is blowing away from the school district. But hey, this is going to be impacting people all over in the other direction.
Definitely. And one of the other things, Caroline, that people get concerned about, which rightfully so, is the fact of whatever chemicals are in the air. So hazmat crews on the scene as well to see if there needs to be a shelter in place, which very well may be called by the city or other officials if the smoke and all of the chemicals or whatever is burning is actually hazardous to the public. So that's something also that we are going to be monitoring and letting you know about. And just like you said, Caroline, downloading that Fox 26 News app is the best bet to get your instant information, whatever we do receive. And we're going on less than an hour since this fire started burning. So I'm pretty sure that the crews out there are just trying to get a handle on what all is going on. Now, we do know that at least 2 people were injured in this fire. We don't know the extent of the injuries. We do know that it is a Pemex facility there and Deer Park, and that there were evacuations made there. So we do know that people were in the building, possibly at the time or right after it happened. Hopefully they all were able to evacuate in time. So we do know that emergency responders right now on the scene.
Yeah, and I do want to add that city officials in Deer Park are saying that there is no shelter in place at this time for the city of Deer Park.
Okay.
So obviously, whatever is happening here at this fire, they don't see as a huge threat to the city of Deer Park right now. So there is no shelter in place at this point. That could change, though. We still don't know exactly what is on fire here. If there is a risk of chemicals being leaked, these are all answers that our crew should be able to get to us when they arrive. They're on the way. But we'll continue bringing you these live images. Just so much smoke and the flames. It really is a crazy scene. This is near 225 in the Beltway, the Pemex plant here on fire. This has been happening for about an hour now. 2 people injured, not impacting the school district, thankfully. Obviously, you can see there are fire crews there spraying water on what they can, but those flames are very large. It's going to take a lot for them to get this under control.
Now, I did look up more about Pemex, and it is a company that is a Mexican owned company. And so I'm not sure how long it's been here in the Houston area, but like we said before, that there was a fire there in March. So one of the other things they'll be looking at is if obviously this industrial plant was up to code at the time that it needed to be, and if this was something that was foreseeable, since it's something that we saw happening in March. Again, if you are just joining us right now, there is a huge fire happening, and it is in the Deer Park area, an industrial plant. We do know that it's Pemex. Taking a look at this map right now so you can get a good understanding of what we're looking at here and where it is. It is State Highway 225 near the Beltway, and it looks like that there is traffic in both the east and westbound direction. Also want to make note that there were at least 2 people who were injured in this explosion. We did also see from Deer Park ISD, we've been monitoring because there's so many parents who might be concerned if their child is still at school that they need to evacuate. But rest assured, Deer Park ISD has said that this fire has no impact on school operations since the city has not issued a shelter in place. And this was first reported around 2:54. So really, Caroline, it hasn't been that long, just an hour.
No, and I want to add that LaPorte Office of Emergency Management on their Twitter just stated that OEM is actively monitoring the fire north of 225 in Deer Park. We're in contact with Deer Park. We have no impacts are expected to impact LaPorte due to the widespread direction of this fire, the way that it's blowing. So the wind is actually doing some people a favor here, blowing in a direction where it's not impacting LaPorte. So emergency officials there are watching this closely. They'll issue a warning if anything becomes too dangerous. And also Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, just reported that this is a multi-agency response. So there's a lot of people working to contain this right now.
Yes, and it's social media really where we're getting a lot of this information from officials. So you were talking about Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and he said that since there are multiple agencies responding, it's the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office, which will be the lead. Unified Command is being established at this moment. Now you can see from Skyfox here that they are working on this fire. Now Deer Park ISD again saying that operations are normal for them. You were talking about wind direction, and that's one of the reasons why there's no shelter in place at the time, because it is going in the opposite direction of where the schools are located. And we also want to make note that we know at least 2 people have been injured in this explosion. It was preliminary reports, but it was around 2:55 to 3 o'clock there. So it's been about an hour and we're still getting information in. And I really do encourage all of you to go ahead and download the Fox 26 News app, because it's the best way to get information on what we receive into our newsroom. Now, one of the very interesting things is on 225, I've been looking at Houston TransStar, and obviously when there's any type of fire or explosion or something that you can see from the highway, there might not be anything on the highway itself, but there is definitely going to be traffic buildup. Now, we're looking at a map, which you see in the center of your screen, to give you a good idea of where this is. So we're looking at Beltway 8, State Highway 225. So again, Houston TransStar, if you look at the maps there, which I've already done for you, in the east and westbound direction, we're starting to see traffic build up. And this is a huge fire, so you're seeing smoke from miles and miles away. And in fact, Caroline, we were taking a look at the National Weather Service, who tweeted out their radar and said that they can even on their radar identify where this location is because of just all of the smoke that they're seeing.
And speaking of the National Weather Service, we want to bring in our meteorologist, Ramisha Shade. She is tracking what the weather is doing in that area. That's going to have a big impact on people in the area.
That's right. We are still monitoring this fire coming from Deer Park. Now we have our wind coming in from the south around 10 miles per hour. So basically that is taking that smoke plume from the south and shifting it to the north. But you can see Deer Park right here, and notice as I have the radar looping over the last hour that you kind of see a big burst of yellow quickly, and then it starts to push north towards Channelview. So that is the smoke plume that we're talking about. And of course it's massive, and you can definitely pick it up on our Fox Rad radar. You can see up here towards Gilbert Landing and Lynchburg, likely beginning to see some of that smoke. You can see that plume drifting off to the north. Once again, this is Deer Park here, and you can see we've got Tidal Road, and then we've got Channelview up here, and this will continue to be an issue as the wind is pretty breezy out there at times, around 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. So once again, it's coming out of the south, so it's going to be blowing this smoke plume up to the north, already reaching Channelview and also Gilbert Landing up towards the Highlands and Lynchburg and possibly western portions of Brownwood. So, of course, it is always amazing when you can pull up this technology. Our radar can pick up these smoke particles in the air, and you can see that once again over the last hour. I have our radar looping, and you can see that you've got that burst of yellow right there just to the north of Deer Park. You can see Link 5 here and Channelview up to the north. So we'll continue to monitor this, but definitely an interesting sight. Of course, this is a dangerous situation, but we will continue to track this smoke plume that we are clearly seeing exploding on our radar, just to the north of Deer Park. That smoke plume will be traveling, as I mentioned, up towards the Channel View area. And of course, I'll continue to watch it. If I see anything else happening with this, I'll let you know. But once again, we've got the wind out of the south around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So that plume will be traveling from the south and shifting off to the north. Caroline, Rashi?
Yeah, thank you, Ramisha, for that breakdown. Definitely a concern for people living in the Channel View area as that dark black smoke continues to go up into the air and blow in that direction. This is taking place at what the Galena Park Fire Chief says is the Pemex plant. We're still waiting for officials on the ground to confirm everything to us at this point, but that is what we're hearing right now. This is impacting the area near 225 and the Beltway. We do have it located on the map. You can definitely see the smoke for miles. So if you're living in this area and the wind is blowing in your direction towards the Channel View area, this could be a problem. There are no orders to stay inside right now. However, looking at these pictures, you might want to be careful, especially if you have any sort of breathing problems. The air is going to get pretty rough as that wind continues to blow in that direction. This has been happening for over an hour now. There's multiple agencies on the ground. You can see them spraying water on this giant fire. It doesn't look like they're making much progress at this point, but we've been following this with these live pictures for over an hour now. So this really doesn't look like much progress has been made since then. We do know that 2 people have been injured. This is a very industrial area that you're looking at. This is images from Sky Fox that you are seeing right now.
So right now at this time, we are approaching 4 o'clock. You know that schools are over, but there might be some after school activities. We do know that Deer Park ISD is saying there's no shelter in place. This could not be affecting Deer Park because of the wind direction, but it could be affecting several other cities. So we're monitoring that as well. Now, something that you might notice that you see dark black smoke. So what does that indicate? Now, we don't have any official word yet, but we do know that black fire and black smoke that you see, usually petroleum products, rubber, many plastics will produce this black smoke. So what that means is this could be very hazardous in the public if you are in the direction of that wind. So it's something that might be toxic. And so we are just waiting to see if there is an official word of shelter in place. We do know that 2 people have been injured. Now, again, 4 o'clock being probably rush hour traffic time, and I've been monitoring the traffic as well. Now, 225, both directions, east and westbound, near Beltway 8, which is where this is at, and you can clearly see all of the smoke. That does have standstill traffic in both of the directions there. And you can see clearly with Sky Fox that this is smoke that you're seeing for miles and miles. What is very concerning, just taking a look at this here, Caroline, is the fact that this could be spreading any toxic material, any toxic chemicals for so many miles, affecting so many homes. Obviously, you don't see homes in this area, but that doesn't mean that this is something that isn't affecting possibly your family, children, you know, later on as we approach the hours throughout the evening here. So we are waiting to hear from any officials. The only official that we have heard from is Galena Park Fire Chief, who did say that this is the Pemex plant.
But we're not sure exactly. We want to wait on confirmation for that.
Right. And he is saying that, oh, I do want to let you know that if it is the Pemex plant, we do know that it is state owned by Mexico. It happened a few years ago. So it is a plant that we do know was evacuated. Now, again, all preliminary reports here. What we do know clearly, there's a lot of traffic on 225. We also know that this is hazardous. Black smoke, just letting you know, it does indicate that it's some type of plastic, rubber, petroleum products. We don't know exactly what yet. So again, you can see all this black smoke here. You see the water. You see that there are crews that are trying to contain this smoke, and we're just waiting to hear any updates.
Well, if it does indeed turn out to be a Pemex plant, there was a fire reported at one of the Pemex locations in Deer Park back in March, on March 14th. So these plants, unfortunately, fires can happen here, and it poses a risk not only to the people who are working, but to the surrounding communities. This deep, dark, black smoke is billowing in the direction of Channel View areas. So we want to make sure that if you're in the Channel View area, you're aware that this smoke is blowing in your direction. And for people who might have issues with bad air quality, this could impact you. Right now, though, there's no official warning for a shelter in place or anything like that. It's something that officials are probably going to be monitoring. We'll keep an eye on and bring you that information as soon as we get it. But right now, multiple agencies are just working on containing these flames and probably figuring out exactly what is causing this smoke to be this deep and dark as it continues to spread throughout our communities. We do have a crew on the way, Sherman DeSalle and a photographer. So as soon as they get on the ground, they'll have better access to officials and hopefully learn some new information that we will certainly bring to you live on Fox 26 News at 5. And if we're still on the air in our live coverage, we will, of course, bring you that as soon as we learn anything. But for now, if you are headed in that direction, especially if you know, you're getting off work and you're traveling near 225 in the Beltway, east and westbound on the Beltway, there will probably be traffic. The air could be smoky. Just be careful if you are heading in that direction.
And if you are just joining us, we have been reporting live for you about this fire, which has first been reported around 2:54 by some crews that are on the scene there. Now, we do believe that it is the Pemex plant. This is state owned by Mexico. We have not confirmed that yet. What we do know, possibly, again, preliminary reports, because there hasn't been any official word, is that there are 2 people who have been injured. We do not know the extent to the injuries. What we do know is that we're seeing thick black smoke. And like Caroline, we've been talking about, what does that mean? So it means that it's usually an abundance of petroleum products. So that is hazardous material. We haven't heard from Hazmat yet or know about any shelter in place. We do know in Deer Park they're not doing a shelter in place because the wind direction isn't going towards them. But that doesn't leave a lot of other areas out of the woods yet, so to speak. So looking at the map here, you can get a better idea of where we're looking at to get your perspective. Beltway 8, 225 east and westbound. You can see that there is actually heavy traffic there, and this is south of 225. This plant here, we are not sure if it is exactly the Pemex plant. It does look like that this explosion is coming from that area. Again, we do know that 2 people have been injured, and this can be seen from miles and miles away. People have been tweeting and also calling our newsroom, letting us know about this. What is this fire? What is happening? We are also waiting to learn all of the official details. What we do know is, again, no shelter in place that we know of yet, but it doesn't look like it's a good idea if you go outside and you're in the direction of the smoke, which is coming towards you, because black smoke is not good news. We don't know exactly what chemical we're working with here, but we haven't heard from Hazmat just yet.
Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez just tweeted that the fire marshal's office is leading the response efforts. The fire marshal's office is here leading these efforts, and there's multiple agencies responding to this issue right now. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez also sharing some photos and videos similar to the ones that you see now, but obviously from the roadway, that just look like you can see this smoke for miles. And based off what we're seeing, that is certainly the case. The wind is blowing in the direction of Channel View. If you live in that area, you're going to want to make sure that you might want to stay inside. There's no official shelter in place warning yet from city officials or anything like that, but this is deep, dark smoke billowing in that direction.
And this fire has been burning. We're going on, it was probably about a little over an hour now. So they're still trying to contain this fire. The longer that it takes to actually contain it, the more that this smoke is spreading. So we're also getting a look there. And that's why it's so important to know about direction, which I do know that our meteorologist Ramisha Shade has been closely monitoring, because that really impacts the residents there, which is what we, at the end of the day, we care about the people and what is happening with them and their health and their safety for your family and your children. So we do know that Galena Park officials say they believe that this fire was at the Pemex facility, and that facility.
All right, we're listening in there to Fox 26 coverage of the plant fire that continues. Sky Fox aerials continue to show what is going on there, and we'll take another live look right here in full. We'll get back and have other updates on this in just a little bit here on Live Now from Fox.